Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, and that's right. In celebration of my birthday, I think the time has come to do this top 10 list. Yes, Disney has been a huge part of my life, and, just what else can I say? Because, just Disney, who doesn't love Disney, and who doesn't love the movies and just everything that they've grown up with, no matter what it is of Disney. I've of course gone to the Disney parks, Disney World, that is. I remember the good old shows that were on the Disney channels, like the good old days of Disney Channel, Playhouse Disney to Disney Junior, Toon Disney to Disney XD, you name it. And of course the movies, for example, and especially, the animated films. Like, everybody has their own, top 10 or top 5 or top 20, top 30, you name it. They have their own list of favorite Disney animated feature films. And now I'm finally doing one of my own. So, with all that being said, sit back and enjoy my top 10 list of some of my all-time favorite Disney animated feature films. And there are going to be a few surprises in this. So, enjoy. Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Yep, my number 10 favorite Disney animated feature is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. And it's really nice because, well, when this first came out, it really wasn't that great of a success, because it was Disney's first non-musical animated feature, and Disney, from what I read, Disney wanted to go for a change and take a break from doing, a musical animated feature that they've been doing, since the 90s with the Disney Renaissance, you name it. And, this delivered what it does, action-packed, adventure and sci-fi to it, you name it. And there's a lot to like about this film. It's got amazing animation. The characters are pretty good, especially, we get to know their backstories, and this does bring heart to it, especially, when Milo and Kida, because they soon become a couple, they have feelings for each other, and Milo, just him and the rest of his new friends, they do their very best to save Atlantis. It's the chemistry is fantastic. The music, just everything about this is amazing. All the camera shots and widescreen, even especially the last shot of the film where the camera pans out. And fun fact, Disney tried to do that with The Hunchback of Notre Dame, but they really couldn't do it because, they didn't really have the capability to do that kind of thing, but they did with Atlantis: The Lost Empire. So, yeah. And also, I also want to mention this, that, this was sadly the last film for Jim Varney, because he voices Cookie. So, yeah, that's a shame. And it's also really cool that Mr. Spock himself, Leonard Nimoy, he's in this film too. I do like that when I like it when some Star Trek actors they're in something Disney. You know what I mean? Just, yeah. But overall, Atlantis: The Lost Empire, it's a really good, underrated animated Disney film, and I almost forgot to mention, it did grow a cult following, and that's good, because other Disney films like The Black Cauldron and Treasure Planet, they grew cult followings as well. So, yeah. So, what about you guys? There ought to be some things you like about Atlantis: The Lost Empire, but yeah. So overall, Atlantis: The Lost Empire is my number 10 favorite Disney animated feature film. The Lion King. Yes, so The Lion King, being my number 9 favorite Disney animated film. Well, okay, it was a bit tough for me at first, like, where would this be in my top 10, favorite Disney animated films, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure as though that there are those that, would probably not consider The Lion King in their, like, say, top 5 favorite Disney films, you know what I'm saying? So the same goes for me. And I'm not saying I don't like this. I mean, I really do. Like, I grew up with The Lion King. It was one of those Disney films that I watched all the time. And, not to mention, I also watched one of its sequels, The Lion King 1.5. Definitely that one. And, but still, I've made my mind up, and yeah, it's my number 9 favorite Disney film. This, what The Lion King brings is just fantastic. It's unbelievable because it's got a great story. The characters are so memorable. The songs, too. And just the African, music by Hans Zimmer. Wow, that's just amazing. And just so many emotional and funny stuff to this film. Of course, with the funny stuff from Timon and Pumbaa, them being the, comedic relief, if I'm saying that right. And of course, with the emotional stuff, well, between Simba and his father, Mufasa, well, because, one of the most sad moments in Disney history, you know what I'm saying, which being Mufasa's death. And also, a very heartwarming scene is when, Simba makes contact with his father's ghost, remember who you are. And, just Simba taking his place as the rightful king, stepping up to his uncle, Scar, it's all fantastic, and I can't deny that. So, yeah, even though The Lion King is not in, say, my top 5 or top 3 favorite Disney films, hey, it's still in my top 10. That's still good. And, again, for this being number 9, that's my decision. My decision has been made and clear. It's my number 9 favorite Disney animated feature film. And should I even say this, that, it's definitely overrated? I'm just saying, And what about you guys? Is The Lion King in your top 5 or top 3 favorite Disney films? Well, definitely there are those that would place The Lion King, as their number 5 or number 3. So, but for me, it's my number 9 favorite Disney film. The Jungle Book. That's right, The Jungle Book making the number 8 spot. My number 8 favorite Disney animated film. Who wouldn't love The Jungle Book? Well, a few good reasons. This was the last Disney animated feature film that Walt personally touched upon and that he was personally involved with. Because, he wanted to make this fantastic because, well, especially after the results of The Sword and the Stone, which wasn't, disastrous, but it just really wasn't that, good of a success, you know what I'm saying? And so, when The Jungle Book was happening, Walt knew that he had to be involved in this a lot and make sure that this would really be a fantastic, Disney animated film that, they hadn't done in a while, you know what I'm saying? And Walt succeeded, and after his passing, because, he unfortunately died a year before this came out, and, of course he'd be proud that, what a fantastic, animated feature The Jungle Book turned out, because definitely The Jungle Book is a true Disney animated feature gem. no doubt about it. The characters are fantastic. It's got a great story to it. The songs are so memorable, from the Oscar-winning song Bare Necessities to all the other songs written by the one and only Sherman Brothers, from, Ooby-Doo, I Want to Be Like You, ooh, ooh, or the Vultures song, That's What Friends Are For, Colonel Hothy's song, Trust in Me, Cause song. The list goes on. And it's got funny stuff to it, of course. It's also got heartwarming and emotional stuff as well. And the music by the one and only George Bruns, he really nails it at this music. He did, like, his music in Disney, fantastic, and The Jungle Book being one of them. Even after Walt's passing, nobody knew what to do next. Like, could The Jungle Book still succeed? And, that was the big question, obviously, for the animators. And yeah, because it did, as I said. So, yeah. And what about you guys? Like, what do you think of The Jungle Book? And, is it in your top 10 favorite Disney animated films? Because The Jungle Book is also an important piece of animation, and especially for Disney, because, it managed to become such a cult classic Disney film, I should say, after Walt's passing. So yeah. But yeah, making the number 8 spot, and this being my number 8 favorite Disney film, is The Jungle Book. Beauty and the Beast. Yep, Beauty and the Beast, of course. Of course, it had to be in my top 10 favorite Disney films, because who doesn't love Beauty and the Beast? Beauty and the Beast really is a fantastic and another Disney animation gem. Not to mention that Beauty and the Beast was the first ever animated feature film to be nominated for Best Picture. That's a world record for sure, in movie history, you know what I'm saying? Beauty and the Beast, it's such a beautiful, fantastic piece of animation, and for Disney, because, it's got a fantastic story, of course, based off of, the book of the same name, Beauty and the Beast, with, of course, a girl discovering a beast who lives in a castle, and a little bit later, they fall in love, and, if Belle is the one, she can break the spell. The beast can turn back into his human form, and the same goes for the servants, from being objects to humans. The songs are fantastic, done by the one and only late Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. The animation, fantastic, of course. The chemistry, the music by Alan Menken, fantastic, of course. Just everything. Everything about Beauty and the Beast is amazing, beautiful, and, could you imagine if Beauty and the Beast won Best Picture? I mean, that would have been something. But of course, as we all know, it lost to Silence of the Lambs, which, yeah, The Silence of the Lambs is a fantastic film, definitely. Maybe I'm sure, though, some of those had a good feeling that probably Beauty and the Beast wouldn't have won Best Picture. I mean, let's face it, Beauty and the Beast isn't the only Disney film in general to be nominated for Best Picture. The very first Disney film to be nominated for Best Picture was Mary Poppins, and then Dead Poets Society, starring Robin Williams. That was Touchstone Pictures. So, yeah. And then after that, Beauty and the Beast. And then, very later on, Pixar. Pixar would have 2 films of theirs that would be nominated for Best Picture. That was awesome, too. Good for Pixar. And, well, they didn't win it either. But that's something. For a Disney film to be nominated for Best Picture, that's really cool. But overall, And with all that being said, Beauty and the Beast, it's a very important Disney animated feature, and, I'm sure you guys, you love Beauty and the Beast as well. It's in your top 10 list. Just, yeah, let me know. So again, my number 7, favorite Disney film is Beauty and the Beast. Pinocchio. That's right, Pinocchio making the number 6 spot. Definitely, Pinocchio is an important piece of Disney animation and another true Disney animation gem. Because, keep in mind, this was Disney's second animated feature. And, of course, after the first one, Snow White. And the thing is, the animators, their goal was to make Pinocchio better than Snow White. And they definitely succeed. They did succeed. Because, well, here's another thing. I was surprised to learn about this, that Pinocchio, it actually was a flop when it came out. But obviously, as we all know, as the years passed, Pinocchio would slowly but surely become a beloved and favorite Disney animation feature, And yes, because it's just amazing. It's a fantastic adaptation of the story of Pinocchio. The characters are fantastic, the music, and of course, the one song that would be Disney's national anthem song, When You Wish Upon a Star. And also the other songs, of course, like Hi Diddly Dee, An Actor's Life for Me, I've Got No Strings on Me, and just so much more, just really fantastic songs. The animation, of course, some funny moments, and some heartwarming and emotional stuff, too. And the fact that, Pinocchio trying his very best to become a real boy. And, in the end, he does become a real boy because of what he does, with that whole Monstro sequence, which is definitely an amazing piece of animation in Pinocchio with Monstro and with the water, because I think, as I recall, one of Walt's 9 old men, Ollie Johnson, stated that, that whole Monstro sequence was one of the best pieces of animation they've done, and the water just almost looking like it's like you could actually drown in that water, you know what I'm saying? Because it looks too good, and because it's all on paper. Pinocchio saving his father, that's definitely what made him become a real boy. He sacrificed himself, and he did his very best to save his father, bring him to shore, and in which he did. And Jiminy, Jiminy Cricket is definitely a fantastic character too, and, him trying his very best to be Pinocchio's conscience, and which, right at the end of the movie, he finally gets a badge, and so I love, Jiminy Cricket is one of my favorites, and also, my 2 other favorite characters have to be Honest John and Gideon. They're those characters, it's hard not to like them, because they are so funny as a duo, but you know what? They're mischievous, and, just tricking Pinocchio into, him believing in their lies, you name it. And the other villains in this, there were a lot of villains in Pinocchio, from, again, Honest John, Gideon, the Coachman, Stromboli, and I think, Monstro does count, I believe, because, well, look at what Monstro was doing. He was trying to murder Pinocchio and Geppetto. So, doesn't that count? Doesn't Monstro count being a villain? What about Lampwick? I don't know. But overall, Pinocchio is definitely a fantastic piece of animation from Disney, a true cult classic and a gem. And what about you guys? surely Pinocchio would have to be in your top 10 list somewhere. Just let me know. So yeah, once again, Pinocchio being my number 6 favorite Disney animation feature. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Okay, so why not? Why not Roger Rabbit be in this top 10 list? Because I love it. I love Roger Rabbit. Who doesn't love Roger Rabbit? Because, yeah, this is a Disney film, even though it started off under the Touchstone banner. But of course, as of now, this is a Disney film. Definitely a full-time Disney film. Everything about Who Framed Roger Rabbit is fantastic. The story, and that this film is, a combination of animation and live action, and with the main stars of the film, like Roger Rabbit himself, Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins, Jessica Rabbit, Baby Herman, and the villains. The villains are fantastic. Judge Doom, played by the one and only Christopher Lloyd, and the Toon Patrol, the Weasels, and also there's Benny the Cab. Because it's got a good, murder mystery to this, because Roger Rabbit being wrongfully framed for the murder of Marvin Acme, who owns Toontown, because, Roger thought that Jessica was having an affair with Marvin Acme, but, even though he thought that, Roger didn't really kill Marvin Acme, because, we of course find out who actually killed Marvin Acme. Roger Rabbit is also well known for combining a bunch of cartoon characters. Not just Disney, but cartoon characters outside. Like, for example, the Warner Brothers cartoon characters, a couple of MGM cartoon characters. Like, you have 2 famous sequences. The piano duet between Daffy Duck and Donald Duck. The parachute scene with, Eddie, he's falling to the ground, and, Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, they're parachuting together, and, Bugs Bunny giving Eddie Valiant the spare, which is a spare tire. That's pretty funny. And also, fun fact, Roger Rabbit was one of the last films to feature Mel Blanc voicing the Looney Tunes characters. This and one more Looney Tunes film that came out the same year, Daffy Duck's Quackbusters. Those were his last 2 films where he would voice the Looney Tunes characters. And a little bit later, one of his very last films was in the Jetsons movie. So, yeah, those being his last 3. The songs in Roger Rabbit are pretty good, like, Jessica's song, Why Don't You Do It Right? Yeah. I also like Roger's song, Merry Go Broke Down, Oh, Roger is my name. The music is fantastic by Alan Silvestri and Robert Zemeckis, who's the director of this. Like, this is the same guy who before brought us Romancing in the Stone and Back to the Future, and we all know what other films Robert Zemeckis would direct next. So, yeah. Everything about Roger Rabbit is just fantastic. That's all I've got to say, because in closing, Roger Rabbit is an important, film, in film history. You get my point. And what about you guys? Like, would Roger Rabbit be in your top 10 list? I'm curious, but yeah. Again, with all that being said, Roger Rabbit makes the top 5 spot. Zootopia. Okay, yes, Zootopia being my number 4 favorite Disney film. And who doesn't love Zootopia? It's amazing. It's, it was definitely one of the best Disney animated films in a while, because, we had, of course, Frozen, Big Hero 6, but, I hope you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, Zootopia, what a fantastic film this is. And, it had been a while since Disney had done a film like this where, Basically, everybody is an animal, and of course, Disney, they have done that kind of thing before, like most notably with Robin Hood, and Zootopia being another one of these that they've done. It's got a fantastic story to it because Judy Hopps, trying to believe in her dreams and to, be a good bunny cop. And for her, being the first ever bunny cop. And of course, her relationship, and which would build up to a friendship with, a fox named Nick Wilde, who is, at first a sly fox, but as the film proceeds and between the two of them, he starts to evolve and, with their friendship starting to grow and, a bit of trouble that happens in Zootopia, like, animals, like, especially, like, the predators, they're becoming vicious because, well, many years ago, they were once vicious and they would attack, innocent animals, you know what I'm saying? But of course they changed their ways, but it seems like it's starting to happen again, but there is a reason why it's happening to some of these animals, because, it had to do with these berries, and of course, the villain, the reveal, is pretty cool, because, this, Bellwether, because you think that she's this innocent and friendly and helpful, animal, sheep, lamb, I'm sorry, but no, especially, I remember reading about this, like, well, somebody said it had to do with her eyes, because her eye color was different, yeah, I mean, that's a nice detail, and, like, good eye, so, yeah. The music is fantastic, the animation is beautiful, and the songs in this, well, the only song in this, Try Everything, which is really good. It's got some hilarious stuff, of course, like, most notably, the sloth sequence with Flash, 100-yard dash. Like, Flash being one of the most memorable characters of this film, without a doubt. And not to mention, Zootopia, like, well done, Zootopia, them doing a Godfather, parody. And I want to say, like, it's also a tribute to The Godfather. When you look at Mr. Big, they made him up so well to make it look like an animal version of Don Corleone, Marlon Brando's character. Wow, it's just fantastic, even in that sequence. I feel like, yeah, I don't think I'm the only one that notices this. The lighting of that sequence with Mr. Big, and there's a wedding going on because, his daughter is to be married, and not to mention, Judy actually saved his daughter's life because, well, Judy chasing after Duke Weaselton throughout the one section of Zootopia with, a small city with rodents and so on, and at one point Judy saved Mr. Big's daughter from a giant donut. So, yeah, as I was saying, like, the lighting in that sequence with Mr. Big, it's like, yeah, the same kind of lighting in the Godfather films, don't you think? I can't be the only one that thinks that. But yeah, overall, Zootopia, what a fantastic Disney animated film this is. And I'm sure, you guys, you would have Zootopia in your top 10 lists, etc. Just, yeah. But again, with all that being said, Zootopia, it's definitely my number 4 favorite Disney film. Robin Hood. Yes, making the number 3 spot, and, this being my number 3 favorite Disney animated film, Robin Hood. What's there not to love about Robin Hood? It's such, a really good cult classic Disney animated feature. And yes, when this first came out, it really didn't hit that same mark like some of the other classic Disney animated films, like Snow White, Pinocchio, and Cinderella. But in the later years, it did grow a cult following, and there are those that do love this film, like me. It's got a great story to it. The characters are really great, like, Robin Hood, for example, being one of the top Disney heroes. And his sidekick, Little John, being voiced by Phil Harris, which, this being Phil Harris's third Disney film in a row, because, he previously voiced Thomas O'Malley in The Aristocats and Baloo in The Jungle Book. The villain in this film, Prince John, he is such a memorable, fantastic villain. Not only is he funny, but he's also hilarious, and most notably, he's best known for his thumb-sucking, "Mommy!" And the Sheriff of Nottingham, gosh, he's another good villain in this too. He's not doing his job right. Like, he's doing the opposite of being a sheriff. Because just stealing taxes from the people of Nottingham, and even, like, stealing taxes from blind people, with Robin Hood pretending to be a blind person, that's really evil. The music in this, done by the one and only George Bruns, which, yeah, this was one of George Bruns' last Disney films where he did the music and score, and I think it really shows. The animation, fantastic, and the pacing and the action going on, like, in the tournament sequence, the sequence where Robin and Little John, they're breaking out and saving the citizens of Nottingham, and, getting the taxes back, and when there's fire happening, all of that, and everybody, they're after Robin Hood, just, oh my gosh, it's so fantastic. And of course, the happily ever after that Robin Hood and Maid Marian get, they're finally married, and of course, what the villains get at the end are pretty funny too, because, King Richard coming back and he set things right. It's just really fantastic. So yeah, Robin Hood is definitely, I think, a really good Disney animation gem, and, it deserves the love it gets, you know what I'm saying? And for it being my number 3 favorite Disney animated film. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yep. The Nightmare Before Christmas being my number 2 favorite Disney animated film. Why not? I mean, who doesn't love The Nightmare Before Christmas? I know I do, and you guys should know that too. And I know there are some of you guys that love The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, and The Nightmare Before Christmas being one of Tim Burton's first Disney films. I mean, we all should know that Tim Burton, he worked with Disney before. He started off being a Disney animator, and, Disney gave him permission to work on a couple of short films from Vincent, Hansel and Gretel, that was entirely Japanese themed, and then he would do the live-action version of Frankenweenie, which that got him fired. However, many years later, he would team up with Disney again when it came time to making The Nightmare Before Christmas, because he had that idea while he was working at Disney, because, he saw a store taking out Halloween decorations and putting in Christmas decorations. That's what popped in his head, that, he created The Nightmare Before Christmas. And, Burton realized that, Disney still had the film rights, like the rights to make a film of The Nightmare Before Christmas. And so, yeah, thus The Nightmare Before Christmas would become one of the best Halloween/Christmas films of all time, and definitely one of the best stop-motion films of all time, no doubt about it. Everything about The Nightmare Before Christmas is fantastic. The story, the characters, the stop-motion animation, the songs, they're so memorable, the music and score, and should I say, the music, score, and songs, all done by the one and only Danny Elfman, and not to mention Danny Elfman being the singing voice of the one and only, the Pumpkin King himself, Jack Skellington. Yeah, Jack Skellington, he's, who doesn't love Jack Skellington? He's so iconic, being voiced by Chris Sarandon, and his singing voice, as I said, Danny Elfman, and all the other characters, Sally the Rag Doll, Lock, Shock, and Barrel, the mayor of Halloween Town, and the main antagonist, Oogie Boogie. Yeah, he was a beloved villain, in this film, etc. And Santa Claus as well, and Jack taking over Christmas because of his discovery of Christmas. And, nobody in Halloween Town really understands Christmas. I mean, for Jack, he does. He tries his very best. And even Sally, she senses and knows that Jack's Christmas is going to be a disaster, and which it turns out to be true. It does, because of him delivering toys to all the girls and boys, what do you expect? Because they're all, scary toys, you name it. Like from a shrunken head, a snake, scary duck, a vampire teddy bear. Yeah. And some of the best songs in this film, This Is Halloween, What's This, Jack's Limit, Poor Jack, Oogie's song, Sally's song, the list goes on. Just everything about The Nightmare Before Christmas is fantastic. I love it. It's one of my favorite stop-motion films, my favorite Tim Burton films, you name it. And what about you guys? The Nightmare Before Christmas, would it be in your top list of favorite Disney films? I'm sure. There's no doubt about it. But with all that being said, The Nightmare Before Christmas, what a fantastic holiday, for this being both a Halloween and Christmas film, just everything about it, it's fantastic, and for it being my number 2 favorite Disney film.
Happy Halloween! Merry Christmas!
Now, before we get to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. Hercules. Yeah, what's there not to like about Hercules? It's definitely a pretty good Disney animation feature. It's got a good story, some pretty good characters, some good songs. Everything about Hercules is really good. And yeah, I definitely enjoy this piece of Disney animation. Home on the Range. Yes, I actually do like Home on the Range. I used to watch Home on the Range a lot, and I still think it's not that bad. I mean, yes, it wasn't that good, but I'm sure as though there are those that do like Home on the Range, and me being one of them. The Little Mermaid. Okay, even though The Little Mermaid didn't make it in my top 10 list, there's no denying that, it's a really good Disney animated feature, and definitely a true Disney animated feature gem. I do like The Little Mermaid. I remember watching this a lot. I grew up watching The Little Mermaid. The songs are fantastic. The characters, the story, everything about The Little Mermaid is, without a doubt, fantastic. Aladdin. Again, it didn't make it in my top 10 list, but hey, Aladdin is another fantastic Disney animated feature. And, of course, I enjoy Aladdin because it's really good. The story, characters, songs, everything to it is what makes Aladdin really good. The Black Cauldron. Yes, I too enjoy The Black Cauldron. And as I said, The Black Cauldron grew a cult following. There are some things to like about The Black Cauldron. The story is not that bad. The characters are pretty good too. The music is really good, definitely. And definitely, the film's main villain, the Horn King, he's definitely, I think, one of the best Disney villains. And finally, the Brave Little Toaster films. Okay, I know the other 2 Brave Little Toaster films are Disney and not the first film, but to me, it feels like the first one does feel like it's a Disney film. I mean, don't you think? And I just don't think the first Brave Little Toaster film should be left out. So that's why I am, mentioning all 3 Brave Little Toaster films, because I enjoy them, and, you know, the Brave Little Toaster is definitely an important piece of animation, you know, in animation history, without a doubt. Now, with all that being said, let's dive right into my number one favorite Disney animated film. The Great Mouse Detective. Yep, that's right. The Great Mouse Detective is my all-time favorite Disney animated film. What's there not to like about The Great Mouse Detective? You know, there are those, and I'm kind of in on this too, like, there are those that say The Great Mouse Detective kind of started the Disney Renaissance, like, maybe the Disney Renaissance was at its peak, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, I don't know, but definitely, you know, after The Black Cauldron turned out to be a disaster, it didn't take too long for Disney to, do something that actually turned out to be pretty good and a pretty good success, and thus being The Great Mouse Detective. And, you know, it's nice that Disney did something Sherlock Holmes, because that's what this is. But, you know, the story of Basil of Baker Street, it is based off of a series of books, if I'm correct, you know, using the word series. Everything about The Great Mouse Detective is just fantastic. The story, the music, the animation, the characters, definitely. Like, Basil of Baker Street, he's such a great, you know, detective mouse in this, and, you know, his humor, and, you know, just everything about him, it just, you know, you just gotta love this mouse detective. And also, the film's, you know, main villain, Professor Ratigan, being voiced by the one and only horror icon Vincent Price. Like, Professor Ratigan, he is definitely one of my all-time favorite Disney villains. Just Professor Ratigan, what's there not to love about Professor Ratigan? You know, he's amazing, because his personality and the fact that he at times is close to Snap, and in which, at the, you know, in the final, like, climax, he shows his true colors, just how much of an evil rat he is, and trying to attack and kill Basil. Wow. And that infamous sequence, you know, the climax in the Big Ben Tower, and The Great Mouse Detective being one of the first, along with The Black Cauldron, one of the first Disney films to use computer animation, and specifically in The Great Mouse Detective with the gears inside Big Ben. And the other characters like Dawson, Olivia, and Fidget, Ratigan's sidekick Bat, and Ratigan's pet cat Felicia. Just, you know, all the characters are fantastic, and just everything about The Great Mouse Detective is fantastic. It's, you know, it's chemistry, the storytelling, and with this film having funny moments and emotional moments like any other Disney film, and some songs, you know, like from Ratigan's songs, you know, Ratigan, the world's greatest mouse, you know, because he wants to be preferred as a mouse, not a rat. Also, the one song that Ratigan sings, Goodbye So Soon. Even, like, one song number from this, like, you know, stage performing mouse. You know, I can't remember the name of the song, but you know what I'm talking about. But overall, The Great Mouse Detective, it's fantastic. I love this film, and for this being my number one all-time favorite Disney animated feature film.
Thank you, Dawson. Smile, everyone.
In conclusion, and with all that being said, this has been my top 10 list of favorite Disney animated films. And yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit and The Nightmare Before Christmas being in my top 10 list, well, why not? I really love these two Disney films, and I'm sure those two films are on some of your top 10 favorite Disney films, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think of my top 10 list, which are some of your favorites. just, yeah, leave comments and give this top 10 video a like as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 list of some of my all-time favorite Disney animated films. More top 10/top 5 videos are on the way. They're gonna be awesome. Keep looking forward. And I'll see you guys in the next video /top 10/top 5. Take care, and peace out.